Just before we get into today's video, I just want to inform you all that I will be live streaming here on YouTube very frequently over the summer, so make sure to stay updated by looking at my community tab. Just today we played Jujutsu Shenanigans over on Roblox, and let's just say, I now understand how Gojo felt when he was being jumped. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Animasu, and today we're going to be taking a look at Blue Lock Chapter 263, titled Boundary Line. If you enjoy my chapter overviews and would like to support the channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, comment below your thoughts, and feel free to also join my community Discord down below if you'd like to talk to me directly. Without further ado, let's get right into one of the most shocking chapters of the PXG match. To start us off as usual, the chapter as intro text which states, Kaiser throws away his pride and begins to forge a new ego. As Isagi goes for his second goal, he senses an ominous aura emanating from Kaiser. The first thing we see here is Isagi running up the midfield towards two PXG defenders, however his full focus seems to be on what's behind him. Michael Kaiser is now moving in a completely different way than before, and on top of that, we can see his eyes blacked out here in a temporary flow state. He also has that super intense look on his face and is clenching his teeth, because as we know from last chapter, he's attempting to rebuild himself from zero. Also, is it just me, or I feel like the author saying that Isagi is working towards his second goal just means that he's not going to score the second goal. Anyways, Corona however quickly yells out for Isagi to speed up and continue moving forward, which luckily snaps his attention back to himself rather than Kaiser. With Nanase on their close right, Corona and Isagi plan to quickly combo through PXG's defense, just like they did to Uber's. Right before Isagi was ready though and turning to respond, a hand begins to reach around his face while a familiar voice calls him an idiot. Karasu Tabito has swooped in and prevented Isagi from passing off the ball, while assuring him that he's the game's current protagonist. Unlike in the third selection where he was being targeted as the weak link, Isagi now has Karasu defending him and openly admitting it's due to how lethal he is. He even goes on to yap about how terrified PXG is of Isagi's two-gun volley weapon, so instead of letting him get in range, Karasu plans to completely crush the striker. Isagi doesn't seem to care though, because while calling Karasu a baby crow, he mocks them to just come and try, because he's already expecting himself to be the center of attention. He then quickly sends off a pass behind his left leg to Corona, who's plenty open thanks to him taking all the defensive pressure. He yells out for his planet to begin his orbit, as we see Corona sweating already from the high-intensity gameplay. Focusing up though, Corona then sends a pass right back in the direction of Isagi yoichi, as Antetsu is left watching helplessly. This pass was actually not intended for Isagi, because as we see him leaping over the ball while also holding back a defender, it's shown to us that Yo Hiyori was the true endgame of this play. As the sadistic midfielder cracks a smile and jokes about how great his leading cast is, Isagi also urges him on while sinking his vision, telling him to show off his best production yet. Everything is shut down pretty quickly though, because in comes Michael Kaiser, sliding on the ground to intercept their pass. Isagi and Yuri are obviously both left in absolute shock due to this, as we see Kaiser collecting himself to then stand up. Rose petals begin swirling all around him, and he looks more determined than ever. As we then get an overhead view of Kaiser sprinting ahead and towards Tokimitsu, Isagi seems to be narrating here with his inner thoughts. He can now definitely tell that Kaiser has changed his pattern of attack, because instead of just obsessing over his own teammates, Michael is now scanning the entire field and playing for calm interceptions instead. As Ryuchi screams out calling his teammates moronic for stealing passes from one another, Ness also begins to call out for a pass, hoping to try for the Magnus impact again. With Kaiser just glaring over in his direction though, with no words. The craziest thing in the world happens, as instead of passing to Alexis Ness, Michael Kaiser makes the decision to pass right on over to Ryuchi Jingo. I mean, Ryuchi looks just as confused as the community here, because never in my life did I expect Kaiser's return to zero to happen like this. I speculated Alexis Ness to be the one ignoring and separating from Kaiser, but the opposite has now happened shockingly. As Kaiser continues to sprint upfield and trusting Ryuchi with the ball, this man cannot figure out what the hell Michael has in mind here. Alexis Ness is also shown to be thrown into despair from Kaiser ignoring him, because his background is fully blacked out, and he can barely even spit out his words. I honestly feel awful for Ness here and have a lot of theories flowing through my head just due to this one page, so make sure to be on the lookout for some crazy theory videos soon. Anyways, as Kaiser is fully locked in and focused ahead, we see him thinking about if he's going to climb even higher, then he'll need to discard and rid himself of everything that currently defines him. His pride, arrogance, even the way he operates needs to be set back to when he was nobody, back to when he was just a child holding on to dear life. Michael knows he must reset himself to zero. We even see him turn to Ryuchi and say please, as to ask for his assistance, which is so insane to me. While I feel awful for Ness, it's kinda satisfying to finally see Kaiser working alongside other people on the team. It does kinda get boring and predictable to see the same combos and plays over and over, so I feel like this will make the last match 10 times more interesting than we ever thought. As Ryuchi decides to pass back to Kaiser while holding off Nanase at his back, he even cracks a joke to him, saying that Kaiser seems to have some redeeming qualities after all. This causes Igaguri on the bench to go absolutely insane, taking a look of shock, But just like Ryuchi said in the Bastard Munich locker room, he will do anything to survive, as he wants Kaiser to raise his value by scoring with his assist. Funny enough, Isagi Yoichi is actually the least bothered and surprised of them all, because while recognizing that he himself is the protagonist in this game, he also knows that the best option here is to incorporate Kaiser and his overwhelming weapon into their system. With Isagi beginning to rebuild his own data and thoughts based on this new shift of the field, he straight up admits that he never expected Kaiser to actually throw away his pride and go this far. Now in the leaks, it seemed like Isagi called Kaiser hot here, but sadly I need you guys to cancel all plans for their wedding, because it seems like the actual translation has Isagi more hyped than aroused. This actually makes more sense considering he's not our boy Shidou. Anyways, with Itoshi then approaching from Kaiser's front, he calls the new generation striker a side character, while saying that he's too late. With the two clashing for the ball foot to foot, Kaiser seems to now have a look of pure terror, as Rin doubles down, commenting that he already took his shot, and we all know where that ball went. Sadly, as we turn the page, Itoshi seems to be the victor of this little duel, as Michael Kaiser is just left painfully crashing to the ground. While he's moping on the ground thinking about some philosophical shit, our boy Ryuchi is screaming at him to get back on defense, also calling him an asshole for wasting his assist. I truly hope Ryuchi sticks around for the whole series of Blue Lock, because this is how you do comedic relief, not igaguri. As the rose petals are once again shown displaying a young, hurt Kaiser, he realizes that what's happening here isn't just some impulsive thought that came out of the blue. This kind of transformation only occurs within those who are greedy enough to try and grow even higher, beyond their own limitations. As we see him chasing after Itoshi wanting his get back, Michael knows that this is the turning point within his identity, as he is now destroying himself to then build back as needed. Stopping for a moment to focus on Ryuchi who's pressing Rin, he realizes that instead of wasting any energy being different, he should just stay calm and keep scanning for ways to grow even higher. In a super crazy scene while immersing fully into the flow state, Kaiser even admits that the only reason he now has this mindset is all due to Isagi Yoichi. He even goes on to straight up thank Isagi verbally for giving him this hardship, as now more than ever, Kaiser sees a future of prosperity and growth for himself. The next page here does show us that Ryuchi and Corona managed to double press the ball out of Itoshi possession, leaving it just flying straight into the air. Even Karasu looks worried here, asking what the hell's happening, because on top of Kunigami clamping down Shidou and Isagi's rapid evolution, Michael Kaiser has also now become a wild card. Karasu says that he straight up cannot get a read on Bastard Munich, which is pretty understandable considering all the chaos. Their perspective then changes over from Karasu's worry to Yohiri's calm analysis of the shifting field. Not only does this formation have Isagi operating as the main striker with his new lethal 2-gun volley, but they now also have Kaiser working freely as a second option to score. They now have 2 nuclear weapons to score with, and with Kaiser even passing to people other than Ness, PXG are having a super hard time tracking his new movements. And one of the most badass panels I've seen with these two characters, Isagi Yoichi and Michael Kaiser are moving in tandem here as Corona has delivered them a perfect cross. These two destructive forces are finally starting to resonate with one another, leaving even the strongest of PXG left looking helpless. Amidst all the movement and chaos though, one person remains lurking calm in the shadows, completely silent but still fired up. Kyura Jin, number 69, is patiently waiting for his moment from the outside, the defining borderline moment for him to create his impact. He seems to be fully zoned into Isagi and Kaiser working their way up the midfield, and despite being a left back, Kyura seems pretty far up in my opinion. Moving on to the good stuff, the outro text for today's chapter says, as the game becomes even more turbulent, silent figure waits in the shadows, hoping for the perfect time to strike. With that being the last from today's chapter, all we're left with is the title for next week's chapter 264, being Dead, Dead, Dead of Life. I'm just gonna straight up say, I expect Kyura Jin to score Bastard Munich's second goal rather than assisting, because if Kaiser just decides to pass his way and grant him an assist, it will be way too predictable. I want him to go rogue and score a completely isolated goal as a left back, shooting himself into the top 23 in the most diabolical way. This would also sink Kaiser further into desperation and test how true his real ego is, leaving his final goal to either him or Kunigami. Let me know what your thoughts and theories are down below, because I absolutely will be cooking up a theory video soon this week. With that being the end of today's overview, I just want to thank you all so much for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed the content I push out and would like to support me, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, comment below for the algorithm, and join my community Discord down in the description. I hope you all have an amazing day, and make sure to tune into some of my live streams because we had a great time today.